My name is Gordon Saylor. I'm a candidate in Ward 12, running as a councillor in this municipal election. The couple of reasons that I'm running, primarily I suppose I'd like to say that I think the citizens of London deserve better than they're receiving today. They deserve better from the council that they've elected, and they deserve better from city management. In fact, I'm a taxpayer in the City of London, and I consider that I deserve better as well. I ran for election in 2003, and back then there were a lot of different reasons that I ran, and a lot of it centered around the fact that even then I was very discontented with how the city was operating. I ran in 2003. I wasn't successful. Here I am in 2010, and I'm running again, and the reasons for that are the same. I'm displeased and unhappy with the way this city is run and the way City Council operates. There are some city councillors, I'll contend, that do an excellent job, and they do an excellent job for their ward constituents. They do an excellent job for the city. At the same time, though, there are councillors that do a very poor job. Ultimately, they operate as a body, and I think anybody that would try to argue that they do a good job would lose that argument. Let's talk about a few of the things that have happened over the last 7 years. And we can judge how that council has performed then. Since 2003, the city expenses have increased an average of 5.2% per year. That's over 7 years. 5.2% per year increase in expenses, and that's from the City of London council-approved budgets. Over that same 7-year period, the rate of inflation, as calculated by the Bank of Canada, has increased by 1.8%. So on the one hand, we have our expenses going up 5.2% per year, and on the other hand, we have inflation going up by 1.8%. And I think that rate of inflation, that number is probably familiar to you because it probably matches up with what your wages have increased on average over the last 7 years, if that amount. More than likely, your wage increases over the last 7 years are somewhat less than 1.8. So what we have after 7 years of the current City Council is expenses going up on an angle like this. Our ability to pay those expenses through our taxes is going up at an angle like that. I think if you graph that out or just draw a picture, you'll see it's a widening gap. And there's no prospect, the way things are today, there's no prospect of that changing. So our expenses are going up faster than our ability to pay. It's a fact that our ability to pay, our wages or our pensions are typically increasing below what inflation is. So we know going forward that it's a big problem now, and it's only going to increase. So we need to bring some level of sensibility back to the financial management in this city. I'm an accountant. I'm a certified general accountant. I've got 30 years of accounting and financial management experience, in a few other areas such as human resources. I've spent many years working in that field, a related field. And what I want to do is bring that skill set that I've got to bear on the financial management that City Council is obliged to execute over this city. We have city staff that does the work, but we understand that policy is set and the direction is set by City Council. We need people on City Council that have a clear understanding of the finances of this city and how finances operate, so that we can get this, I think, unsustainable situation under control. Let's look at a couple of the other numbers that come into play. The city debt right now, the money that the city owes to whichever bank or series of banks it's borrowed from, $370 million. That's the debt that the City of London owes. We're paying principal and interest on that every year, and in 2010 that was $57 million. Principal and interest. That's not even expenses that cover programs or services. That's a repayment of money borrowed and interest to borrow that money. To put it into context, the London Police Services budget for this year is $80 million. So they have an $80 million budget, approximately 650 officers and administrative staff, about 200 I think. Their budget $80 million. We're paying $57 million in principal repayments and interest payments. Think what we could do if we didn't have that debt on our books. Thank you.